Dramily.com, unlimited drama series.
The notification pinged at 2:47 a.m., and that's when I knew my wife was a liar. I'm Jack Morton, and I've always been the kind of guy who notices details. 20 years of managing construction projects will do that to you. Miss a measurement by an inch, and suddenly you're explaining to angry clients why their kitchen cabinets don't fit. So when Melissa's phone location glitched and showed the downtown Marriott instead of her mother's house in Westbrook, my brain filed it away like a blueprint discrepancy. Just staying at Mom's for a few days, she'd said that morning, kissing my cheek with those perfectly glossed lips. She's been so lonely since Dad passed. Sure, Mel, and I'm the King of England. I sat in my home office, the one room in our house that was truly mine. Tools lined the walls, project plans covered the desk, and a small security camera I'd installed to watch over my expensive equipment hummed quietly in the corner. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd bought it to protect my stuff from burglars, never thinking I'd need protection from my own wife. The location ping came again. Marriott Downtown, room 167. I grabbed my phone and typed a single word. Sure. Her response came back in 30 seconds. What do you mean? Nothing, honey. Just hope your mom feels better soon. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, she will. Love you. Love you too, I thought, but didn't type it. Instead, I opened my laptop and started making calls. If there's one thing construction work teaches you, it's that every problem has a solution. You just need the right tools and the patience to use them. The first call went to Marty Kowalski, my old college buddy who'd traded his accounting degree for a private investigator's license after his own messy divorce. The second went to my crew foreman Charlie, who owed me about 15 favors and never asked questions. The third was to my lawyer. By sunrise, I had a plan. By noon, I'd have proof. By evening, Melissa Morton was going to learn that some people notice everything, remember everything, and when pushed too far, do something about everything. The funny thing about Betrayal is how it clarifies your thinking. All those little inconsistencies that you'd explained away suddenly form a perfect, ugly picture. The late meetings that ran until midnight. The new lingerie that never made it to our bedroom. The way she'd started putting her phone face down during dinner. I should have been heartbroken. Instead, I felt something much more dangerous, focused. My phone buzzed. Marty. Jack, you sitting down? Because I got your photos, and buddy, you're not gonna like what you see. Send them. The images loaded slowly on my phone. Melissa, looking radiant in a red dress I'd never seen, walking into the Marriott lobby. A tall man in an expensive suit, broad shoulders, perfect hair. The kind of guy who probably called himself an entrepreneur. His hand on the small of her back as they entered the elevator. The timestamp read 7:23 p.m. yesterday. The next photo showed them leaving together this morning at 8:15 a.m. She was wearing his jacket over her dress, laughing at something he'd whispered in her ear. You know who the guy is? Marty asked when I called him back. Working on it. Can you get more? Already on it. They made reservations for tonight, too. Same room.
Well,
Room 167. I memorized those numbers like they were coordinates to buried treasure. Marty, I need you to do something else for me. Can you find out everything about this guy? Name, job, address, whether he's married, how he takes his coffee, everything. You planning something stupid, Jack? I'm planning something smart. There's a difference. I spent the rest of the day gathering evidence with the methodical precision of a man building a foundation. Bank statements showing unusual charges. Credit card bills with restaurant purchases for two when she claimed to be working late. Phone records that painted a timeline of deception stretching back 3 months. 3 months. While I'd been working 60-hour weeks to save for the vacation she'd been begging for, she'd been playing house with Mr. Perfect Hair at the Marriott. The security camera in my office had been recording everything, including a conversation last week between Mel and her best friend Shelley. I'd installed it with audio to catch anyone who might break in, but it had caught something much more valuable. He has no idea. Mel's voice came through clearly on the recording. Jack's so focused on work, I could probably bring Todd home for dinner, and he wouldn't notice. Todd. Now I had a name. Shelley's laugh was like nails on a chalkboard. You're terrible, Mel. But honestly, you deserve better than a glorified handyman. Todd's got that executive thing going on. Todd Jensen, Regional sales director at Morrison Industries. Married, 2 kids. Lives in that fancy development off Route 9, Marty reported when he called back. Guy's got money, drives a silver Mercedes, and apparently has a reputation for this kind of thing. What kind of reputation? The kind where he's done this before. I made some calls. He had an affair with his secretary 2 years ago. Wife took him back. Guess he didn't learn his lesson. Perfect. A serial cheater with a lot to lose. I printed everything. Photos, bank statements, phone records, credit reports. I organized it all in manila folders, like I was preparing a construction bid. Because in a way, I was bidding for my dignity, my self-respect, and a little thing called justice. The divorce papers were ready by 5 p.m. My lawyer, Janet Reeves, had worked fast. Jack, are you sure you want to serve her at the hotel? It's going to be dramatic. Janet, my wife is cheating on me in a hotel room while telling me she's caring for her grieving mother. I think we're past worrying about drama. Fair point. The process server will be there at 8 a.m. sharp, right after she comes out of room 167. That night, I sat in my office and waited. At 11:47 p.m., Melissa's location pinged again. Marriott downtown, room 167. I poured myself 3 fingers of bourbon and raised the glass to the security camera. Here's to room 167, I said to the empty room. Tomorrow, it becomes ground zero. The call came at 8:23 a.m., just as I was finishing my second cup of coffee. Jack, what the hell is going on? Melissa's voice was shrill, panicked. Background noise suggested she was in her car, probably speeding away from her night of passion. I let her sweat for a few seconds before answering. Good morning, honey. How's your mom doing? Don't you dare. I just got served with divorce papers. At a hotel, Jack. How could you embarrass me like that? Embarrassed you? Mel, you were walking out of room 167 with another man. I think you embarrassed yourself. Silence. Then, it's not what you think. Really? Because I think my wife has been lying to me for 3 months while she screws around with some married sales director named Todd Jensen. Am I wrong? The sharp intake of breath told me everything I needed to know. Jack, please, we need to talk about this like adults. I hung up. She called back immediately. I let it go to voicemail, and then again, and again. By noon, I had 37 missed calls and 14 voicemails that progressed from apologetic to angry to desperate. I didn't listen to a single one. Instead, I drove to the bank and executed the first phase of my plan. Joint accounts became individual accounts. Credit cards were canceled. The house, which was in my name thanks to inheritance from my grandfather, got new locks. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. You don't know who you're messing with. I showed it to Charlie when he stopped by the house to help me change the locks. That from the boyfriend? Charlie asked, squinting at the screen. He was built like a linebacker who'd discovered beer, with hands that could crush walnuts and a loyalty that ran deeper than the foundation of any building we'd ever constructed. Has to be. Todd Jensen, apparently. Want me to pay him a visit? I know where Morrison Industries is? Not yet, but soon. The beauty of a well-executed plan is that each piece builds on the last. By afternoon, I had Todd's home address, his wife's name, Patricia, his kid's school, his gym membership, and his favorite lunch spot. I knew he drove a silver Mercedes S-Class, played golf every Saturday morning, and had a standing appointment at an upscale barber shop downtown. I also knew he was about to have the worst week of his life. Marty called with an update. Your wife's been trying to get into the joint account all day. Bank called to verify. Apparently, she was pretty upset when they told her it was closed. Good. What about... Todd? Interesting development there. Seems he's been using company credit cards for some of these hotel visits. I got a buddy who works in corporate accounting at Morrison. Says there's already been some questions about Todd's expense reports. Even better, can your buddy be encouraged to ask more questions? For the right price, my buddy can be encouraged to do a lot of things. That evening, I sat in my truck outside Morrison Industries and watched Todd Jensen walk to his Mercedes. He was everything Melissa apparently wanted: tall, confident, expensive suit, the kind of swagger that said he'd never faced real consequences for anything in his life. That was about to change. I followed him to his house in Maple Heights, one of those developments where every house cost more than most people made in 5 years. His wife's BMW was in the driveway. Lights were on in what looked like a kitchen window. Normal family evening, complete with the husband who was screwing around on business trips. My phone rang. Melissa, for the 48th time today. This time, I answered. What do you want, Mel? I want to explain. This whole thing got blown out of proportion. Which part? The 3 months of lying, the hotel rooms, or the part where you told your friend I was too stupid to notice? Another silence. You recorded us. I recorded everything, Mel. Every lie, every laugh at my expense, every plan you and Shelley made behind my back. You want to know what got blown out of proportion? My patience. Jack, please. Todd doesn't mean anything. It was just what? Just fun? Just sex? Just something to do while your boring husband worked his ass off to pay for the life you wanted? It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Explain it to me, because I'm apparently too stupid to understand. She was crying now. I never said you were stupid. No, you said I was a glorified handyman who wouldn't notice if you brought your boyfriend home for dinner. Which is worse, Mel, thinking I'm stupid, or thinking I don't matter enough to be careful around. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry you did it, or sorry you got caught? No answer. That's what I thought. Lose my number, Mel. From now on, everything goes through lawyers. I hung up and blocked her number. Then I did the same with Shelley's number, and the numbers of 3 other friends who'd probably known what was happening and never said a word. My phone buzzed with another text from Todd's number. This isn't over. You have no idea who you're dealing with. I typed back. Room 167, 8:23 a.m., Silver Mercedes, Patricia Jensen. Want me to keep going? The response came fast. You son of a bitch. Todd, buddy, you haven't seen anything yet, but you will. I drove home to my newly secure house, poured another bourbon, and started planning phase 2. If Todd Jensen thought he was dealing with some cuckolded husband who'd roll over and take it, he was about to get an education in what happened when you messed with a man who built things for a living. Because the thing about construction is, you don't just build. Sometimes, you have to tear down first. And I was just getting started with the demolition. Todd Jensen's Mercedes looked even more expensive up close. Silver paint job that probably cost more than most people's cars. Leather interior, the works. It was parked in the Morrison Industries executive lot like a monument to success and privilege. I walked around it once, admiring the craftsmanship. German engineering, they called it. Precision manufacturing. Too bad the owner didn't have the same attention to detail when it came to covering his tracks. The key in my hand was small, sharp, and about to make a very expensive point. I started with the driver's side door, LIAR. Nice, deep scratches that would cost a fortune to repair. Then I moved to the passenger side, CHEATER. A security guard was making his rounds, but Charlie had that covered. My foreman was currently explaining to the guard how he'd lost his wallet somewhere in the parking lot, and really needed help looking for it. Charlie could talk for hours about nothing when he needed to. I finished my artwork and walked calmly back to my truck. The whole thing took maybe 3 minutes. My phone rang as I pulled out of the parking lot. Marty, Jack, you need to see this. I'm at Morrison Industries, and your boy Todd is having what you might call a moment. What kind of moment? The kind where he's screaming at security about his car and making threats about finding whoever did it. Pretty entertaining, actually. Did you get it on video? Every beautiful second. Want me to send it to you? Send it to everyone. The video was perfect. Todd Jensen, regional sales director and professional homewrecker, having a complete meltdown in a corporate parking lot. His face was red, his expensive suit was rumpled, and he was pointing at his destroyed Mercedes like a child whose toy had been broken. I want security footage. I want to know who did this. This is a $50,000 car. The security guard, bless his heart, was trying to calm him down. Sir, we'll file a report, but... A report? Someone vandalized my car at my place of business. This is unacceptable. I forwarded the video to 5 people. Melissa's sister, her mother, her boss, Todd's wife Patricia, and Alyssa from Melissa's office, who posted everything on social media. By evening, it had been shared 47 times. Todd called me at 6:30 p.m. You psychotic bastard. I know it was you. Todd, How's the car? You're going to pay for this. Do you have any idea how much that's going to cost to fix? Probably less than 3 months of hotel rooms. But what do I know? I'm just a glorified handyman. Silence. Then, she told you that? She told me a lot of things, Todd. But here's what I'm going to tell you. Stay away from my wife. Stay away from my property. And maybe, just maybe, I'll stay away from yours. Are you threatening me? I'm educating you. See, you picked the wrong guy's marriage to wreck. Some husbands might cry or beg or try to win their wives back. Me? I solve problems.
I cheated on you with your brother. What's wrong?
I will not forgive you for this!
Watch more on Grammarly.com.
And you, Todd, are a problem. I could have you arrested. For what? You have any proof I touched your car? Any witnesses? Any security footage that shows me doing anything wrong? More silence. That's what I thought. But Todd, here's the thing. I have proof of everything you've been doing. Photos, dates, times, credit card records. How do you think Patricia would react to seeing those? You wouldn't. Try me. I hung up and immediately called Patricia Jensen. Mrs. Jensen? My name is Jack Morton. I think we need to talk about your husband. The conversation lasted 23 minutes. Patricia Jensen was a smart woman who'd apparently suspected something was wrong for months. The photos I emailed her simply confirmed what she'd already feared. Mr. Morton, I'm so sorry about your wife. This has happened before. I know. Mrs. Jensen, I'm not calling to hurt you or your children. I'm calling because I think we both deserve better than being lied to. What are you going to do? What I should have done 3 months ago. What are you going to do? What I should have done 2 years ago. By Thursday morning, Todd Jensen was sleeping in his office. His wife had changed the locks, frozen their joint accounts, and filed for divorce. His kids weren't speaking to him. His neighbors were gossiping, and his boss was asking uncomfortable questions about those expense reports. Melissa tried a different approach. She showed up at my house with Shelley and another friend, Alyssa, like some kind of intervention squad. I watched them through the window as they rang the doorbell I wasn't going to answer. Melissa looked terrible. No makeup, wrinkled clothes, the kind of exhaustion that comes from having your world collapse in a week. Shelley was doing most of the talking, gesturing at the house like she was planning an assault. Alyssa kept checking her phone, probably updating her social media followers on the drama. They stood there for 10 minutes before giving up. My phone buzzed with a text from Melissa. We need to talk. This has gone too far. I typed back. It went too far 3 months ago. I'm just catching up. Please, Jack, I made a mistake. You made a choice. Every day for 3 months, you made the same choice. Now I'm making mine. What do you want from me? I thought about that for a long time before answering. I want you to understand what it feels like to have someone you trust treat you like you don't matter. I want you to know what it's like to have your friends laugh at you behind your back. I want you to feel as stupid and worthless as you made me feel. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did hurt me, Mel. Every lie, every secret meeting, every time you came home from being with him and pretended to care about my day. You hurt me. The only difference is, now you're feeling it too. She didn't respond to that. Friday afternoon brought the best news yet. Marty called with an update that made me smile for the first time in a week. Jack, you're going to love this. Todd Jensen just got fired. Fired? Terminated for misuse of company resources. Turns out those expense reports I had my buddy look into. Todd's been charging personal expenses to the company for 2 years. Hotel rooms, dinners, even some jewelry that probably went to your wife. How much? $12,000. Morrison Industries is considering pressing charges. I leaned back in my chair and felt something I hadn't experienced in months. Satisfaction. Not happiness, exactly, but the deep satisfaction of a job well done. Marty, you beautiful bastard. How did you manage that? I didn't manage anything. I just made sure the right person asked the right questions at the right time. Todd Jensen managed the rest all by himself. That evening, I drove past Todd's house. His Mercedes was parked on the street, still showing its new paint job. The house was dark except for one upstairs window, probably his kids' rooms. Patricia's BMW was gone. I felt a moment of sympathy for those kids. They didn't ask for their father to be a cheating, lying bastard. But then I thought about all the other families Todd had probably wrecked over the years. All the other husbands who'd gone through what I was going through. Some people needed to learn the hard way that actions had consequences. My phone rang. Melissa. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. What now, Mel? Todd's wife threw him out. He lost his job. Jack, he's ruined. Good, good. Jack, this isn't you. You're not this vindictive. You're right. The old Jack wasn't vindictive. The old Jack trusted people. The old Jack believed his wife when she said she was visiting her sick mother. But the old Jack was married to a woman who loved him. You killed him, Mel. What you're dealing with now is what's left. I want to come home. You don't have a home here anymore. Jack, please. Mel, let me ask you something. If I hadn't caught you, how long would it have gone on? Silence. That's what I thought. You weren't going to stop. You were just going to keep lying, keep cheating, keep making me look like a fool until, what? Until Todd left his wife? Until you found someone better? Until I finally got tired of being treated like garbage? It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Explain it to me. I don't know. I was confused. I was lonely. You were married, Mel, to me, for 8 years. That used to mean something. It still means something. No, it doesn't. You made sure of that. I hung up and turned off my phone. Tomorrow was Saturday, and I had plans. Big plans. Because Todd Jensen and my cheating wife were about to learn that sometimes, when you tear something down, you don't just walk away from the rubble. Sometimes, you make sure everyone sees exactly what's left. Saturday morning found me in the parking lot of the Riverside Diner, watching Todd Jensen eat breakfast alone. He looked like hell. Unshaven, wrinkled shirt, the kind of defeated posture that comes from losing everything in a single week. I walked in and sat down across from him. Morning, Todd. He looked up from his eggs, and I saw something I hadn't expected. Relief. Jack, I was wondering when you'd show up. Disappointed it took so long? Honestly, no. I figured you'd want to gloat. I ordered coffee from the waitress and studied Todd Jensen up close. Without the expensive suit and the arrogant swagger, he looked ordinary. Middle-aged, soft around the edges. The kind of guy who'd probably peaked in high school and spent the rest of his life trying to recapture that feeling. I'm not here to gloat, Todd. Then why are you here? To understand. Help me out. What makes a man throw away his marriage, his job, his kids' respect, all for a few months with someone else's wife? Todd pushed his eggs around his plate. You wouldn't understand. Try me. You want the truth? Your wife made me feel important, successful, like I was someone worth lying for. And your wife didn't? Patricia knew who I really was. Melissa saw who I wanted to be. I sipped my coffee and considered that. So you destroyed 2 marriages because you liked your reflection better in Melissa's eyes. When you put it like that, it sounds pathetic. Todd, it is pathetic. You're a 42-year-old man who threw away everything real for something fake. You traded your kids' respect for hotel sex with a married woman. How is that anything but pathetic? He looked up at me then, and I saw something unexpected. Shame. I know what you think of me. Do you? Because I don't think you're evil, Todd. I think you're weak. Evil would be easier to understand. So what happens now? You've destroyed my life, my career, my marriage. What's left? I leaned forward. What's left is you learning to live with the consequences of your choices. What's left is you explaining to your kids why daddy doesn't live with them anymore. What's left is you finding a new job and a new life, and maybe, if you're lucky, becoming someone worth respecting. And if I'm not lucky, then you'll spend the rest of your life being exactly what you are right now. A middle-aged loser eating breakfast alone, wondering how you screwed up so badly. Todd nodded slowly. For what it's worth, I'm sorry about Melissa. About all of it. Todd, you're sorry you got caught. There's a difference. I left him with the check and walked outside. My phone had 17 missed calls from Melissa, but I wasn't ready for that conversation yet. Instead, I drove to the construction site where my crew was working on a new office building. Saturday overtime. But the job was behind schedule, and the client was getting nervous. Charlie found me standing in front of the concrete foundation we'd poured the week before. Boss, you okay? Charlie, how long have we known each other? 15 years, maybe more. Why? In all that time, have I ever asked you to do something that wasn't right? Charlie laughed. Jack, you once made me return a $20 tip because you thought the client was just being polite. You're the most honest man I know. What if I asked you to help me do something that wasn't exactly illegal, but wasn't exactly nice either? I'd ask what the bastards did to deserve it. I told him about Melissa, about Todd, about the hotel room and the lies and the 3 months of being made a fool. When I finished, Charlie was quiet for a long moment. Boss, what do you need? I need you to help me throw a party. The plan was simple, elegant, and absolutely devastating. Sunday afternoon, I sent invitations to 30 people. Melissa's family, her coworkers, our mutual friends, Todd's ex-wife Patricia, and several people from Todd's former office. The invitation read, Jack and Melissa Morton cordially invite you to a celebration of truth at the Riverside Community Center, Sunday at 6 p.m. Refreshments provided, dress casual. I rented the community center, hired a caterer, and set up a projection screen. Then I waited. People started arriving at 5:45. Melissa's mother came first, looking confused but curious. Then her sister, her boss from the HR department, Shelley and Alyssa, several couples we'd socialized with over the years. Melissa arrived at 6:15, took one look at the crowd, and went pale. Jack, what is this? This is a celebration, Mel. Isn't that what you wanted? For everyone to know how happy you've been? She grabbed my arm. You can't do this. These are our friends, our family. Our friends. Mel, half these people knew what you were doing and never said a word to me. They're not our friends. They're your audience. Todd arrived at 6:30, probably thinking he was walking into some kind of ambush. When he saw the crowd, the projection screen, the formal setup, his face went white. What the hell is this, Jack? This is accountability, Todd. Something you're not familiar with. I walked to the front of the room and tapped a microphone I'd rented for the occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming. I know you're wondering why you're here, so let me explain. The room went quiet. 3 months ago, my wife Melissa started having an affair with Todd Jensen. For 3 months, she lied to me, lied to you, and made me look like a fool while she spent our money on hotel rooms and expensive dinners with a married man. Gasps from the crowd. Melissa's mother looked like she might faint. Now, I could have handled this quietly. I could have filed for divorce, split our assets, and moved on with my life. But that seemed too easy, too private, because Melissa and Todd didn't keep their affair private. They just kept it secret from the people who mattered. I clicked a remote, and the first photo appeared on the screen. Melissa and Todd entering the Marriott lobby. So tonight, we're going to celebrate the truth, all of it. What followed was the most comprehensive presentation I'd ever given. Photos, timeline, bank records showing money spent on hotels and dinners. Audio recordings of Melissa and Shelley laughing about how clueless I was. The room was dead silent, except for the sound of Melissa crying. When I finished, I looked out at 30 shocked faces. Now you know what I know. Now you've seen what I've seen. The question is, what are you going to do with this information? Melissa's mother stood up first. Melissa Ann Morton. I have never been so ashamed of anyone in my life. She walked out. Melissa's sister followed. Then her boss, shaking his head in disgust. One by one, they filed out, until only Melissa, Todd, Shelley, and I remained. Jack, Melissa whispered, how could you do this to me? How could I do this to you? Mel, I didn't do anything to you. I just showed people what you did to yourself. You humiliated me in front of everyone I care about. No, Mel, you humiliated yourself. I just made sure everyone could see it. Todd spoke up from the back of the room. This is insane, Jack. You've destroyed both our lives over a mistake. A mistake? I walked toward him slowly. Todd, a mistake is forgetting to put gas in your car. A mistake is showing up late for a meeting. What you did was make a choice, every single day for 3 months, to betray your family and help my wife betray hers. That's not a mistake. That's who you are. So what now? Melissa asked. You've gotten your revenge. Everyone knows what we did. Are you satisfied? I looked at my wife, my soon-to-be ex-wife, and felt something I hadn't expected. Pity. Mel, I'm not satisfied. I'm finished. There's a difference. What does that mean? It means the divorce papers are final. It means you have 30 days to find somewhere else to live. It means I'm done caring what happens to you. Jack, please. I know I made mistakes, but we can fix this. Mel, look around. Look at this room. Look at the faces of the people who walked out on you tonight. This isn't fixable. This is what consequences look like. I walked toward the door, then turned back. Oh, and Mel? Todd? You deserve each other. I hope you're very happy together. Outside, it was starting to rain. I sat in my truck for a moment, watching the last few people leave the community center. Patricia Jensen walked past my window and knocked on the glass. Mr. Morton? Thank you. For what? For showing me I wasn't crazy. For proving that sometimes the truth really does set you free. She walked to her car, and I realized she was right. I did feel free. For the first time in months, I felt like myself again. My phone rang. Charlie. Boss, how'd it go? It went exactly like it was supposed to go. Good. You coming back to work Monday? Wouldn't miss it. I drove home through the rain, to my house with its new locks and its empty rooms and its future full of possibilities. Behind me, Melissa and Todd were probably trying to figure out how to rebuild their lives from the wreckage they'd created. That wasn't my problem anymore. I parked in my driveway, walked to my front door, and turned the key in the lock I'd changed a week ago. Inside, everything was exactly as I'd left it. Clean, organized, mine. I poured myself a bourbon, sat in my office chair, and looked at the security camera that had started this whole thing. Here's to room 167, I said to the empty room. And here's to never having to think about it again. Outside, the rain was washing the streets clean. And inside, Jack Morton was finally home.